if people to just stop trying to speak over people's head. And there's already this preconceived notion of Democrats that labeled us as elitists. I do notice that we do talk down to people rather than talk to people. And I think that's a big issue. But the first thing people want to start off by saying is, I have such and such degrees. I have this, and this. I'm like, okay, well, who cares about what you got? Just talk to me. Just say what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have to stop focusing on our accolades and just start focusing on just bringing it to the people. We don't have to
Yeah.
focus on the doctorals and all these other things. Just focus on bringing it to the people. Make it easily accessible. Just talk to them like you would talk to your brother, your friend.
Welcome to Connections and Conversations, an advocacy arena podcast, working to increase civic engagement and strengthen our communities. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Connections and Conversations. And I am so excited and thrilled to have my guest here today with me, Kenny, a longtime social media mutual. You may know him as 2RawTooReal. And I am ready to get this conversation started because Kenny is a busy man. I want to give him an opportunity to say hello to the advocacy arena community, and then we're just going to get started.
Hey, you guys, my name is Kenny, better known as 2RawTooReal. I focus on debunking misinformation, educating people, and just doing it in a way that's easily accessible and entertaining. Because I already understand that people did their thoughts a little too short. So sometimes you just got to bring it to people the way where they are and just break it down like a kitchen table talk. And I'm here to talk. So let's get into it.
All right. Well, let's get into it. So how long have you been doing this content creation? Because one of the things I follow you, one of the things that I love about you is that you provide educational content, but it's filled with humor. How long have you been doing this?
Officially being a content creator, I say probably late 2022, but I've been doing videos further than that. I've been doing videos since 2019. I started my advocacy or started actually doing videos because I was inspired by a content creator, a political commentator by the name of Reese Colbert. She first started off, with like 400 followers, and she was using her platform to debunk a lot of misinformation that was being spread about then Senator Kamala Harris's prosecutory record. And we all saw, the misinformation. We saw the onslaught of them just lying on this Black woman. So because no matter what we did, even when we were putting up threads and threads and threads and threads of resources, receipts, is saying, oh, well, what you think of Kamala locking up Black men isn't true. I have a statistic that shows you that Kamala Harris did the contrary. She got Black men out of prison. She created the Back on Track program. She focused on reentry programs. She focused on safe houses for Black women. She's been a pinnacle for our community. She's done everything when it comes to criminal justice to uplift us, not bring us down. So nobody cared about threads. Nobody wants to read, So I'm like, oh, God. At some point, it just started getting frustrating. So I just said, you know what? Let me turn on my iPhone, get me a little tripod, get me a little ring light, let me go and get it popping in these streets, and let me just go off. And it was in a way that I was able to resonate with other people's frustration because we reached out to so many people. I mean, we reached out to journalists, we reached out to news pundits, some that I'm mutuals with now that just did not give a damn, okay? They were just like, I don't care. I'm not doing it. So because they didn't want to do it, it gave us an opportunity to fill a vacant space. And with filling that vacant space, we were able to reach out to other people who were like-minded and also build a true community around uplifting, particularly Black women, leadership in the Democratic Party that are often looked over. And that group became K-Hive. And we, coalesced around Kamala because she had certain policies that was going to benefit a lot of us, particularly policies that were focused on anti-poverty, like her LIFT Act, that pretty much almost is universal basic income, And she was literally the most progressive person in the Senate at that time. And I felt like it was something to do. It worked. It
Indeed.
was able to reach out to a lot of people. And now here I am.
I know. the people that I follow, I don't have to tell them who you are. I just mention and they, oh, yeah, yeah. And they love it. And, one of the things that I wanted to ask you about is I know that your activity has picked up. Like you are doing things, you are doing events. The latest one I remember is when Madam VP came back out, the first official outing that she had. Lo and behold, there's Kenny teaching her some steps. So how did that come about? I mean, geez.
So I don't even know if I even told the story. So this is what happened. I was just doing my little content creator thing. All of a sudden, I get an email, and it's from somebody from VP's team. And they were reaching out to me saying, hey, we might have an opportunity for you to interview Kamala. And I'm like, you ain't said a word. I'm dropped everything. Okay. I'm like, what do I need to do? Where do I need to go? They said, well, we need you to go to San Francisco. You got to keep it hush hush. You can't tell nobody. And, I'm one of those people like, I want to tell my hive. I want to tell everybody. I'm like, look, you guys, I couldn't tell anyone. I had to keep it hush hush because I wasn't sure because they said we're not sure if everything's gonna go the way we want to. I'm like, okay, so I flew out to California, San Francisco, got a hotel for 2 days. We were able to go to the Emerge Gala that focuses on electing women Democratic leadership. She walked through the door and she was just like I've always known her to be, very personable. She's very bright. She remembers everybody. Every time I see her, she always brings up the first time we actually officially met, which unofficially met, which was at the Lincoln Memorial steps when I first came to DC for the first time. And I was just, a tourist trying to see some things. And it's interesting enough how the universe works. I was just in DC randomly, went to Lincoln Memorial, went in, took some photos and stuff like that. And to my surprise, as I'm walking down the steps, I see Doug running up the steps. And the friends that I was with, they're like, Kenny, what's wrong? I'm like, oh my God, that's the second gentleman, Doug Emhoff. This is 2021, still in the pandemic. They're like, what are you talking about? That's Doug Emhoff. They're like, who is that? I said, that's Vice President Kamala Harris's husband. And then all of a sudden, I hear this voice come from behind me saying, isn't he handsome? And I turned around and it was Kamala Harris with Secret Service that was incognito. It was the most hilarious thing ever.
Oh my goodness.
I'll never forget that day. I'm like, oh my God. And since then, we just been connected and stuff like that. Doug has also, he's been following me forever, even back in 2019, because, anybody who defends his wife, that's his thing. Very supportive of her. But yeah. And since then, I feel like because I've been truly loyal to her, unlike some who have tried to throw her under the bus, rather than trying to dig a little deeper to figure out what exactly went wrong during this election, I've been tried and true to her. And that's not going to change and that's not going to stop because she's done a lot for us. And I feel you shouldn't throw anybody away just because they might stumble or fall down.
Mm.
It's about how you lift people up.
Loyalty matters. And I just love, like you said, how you got to know her. And I know now that you're doing some other things like last night. I missed it, but you were doing an event with some other content creators, State of the People. You have your own channels and stuff. And when we air this episode, I'll make sure to put all of your links in there. So if anyone doesn't know who 2RawTooReal is, we're going to tell them where they can find you because you absolutely are inspiring. Because as I said, you give people, like, sometimes I am just howling. I can't always repost your stuff. I could, but I have a lot of grandmas and people following me.
Look, I understand. I've been a little bit more calm nowadays, with a little counseling. I'm just playing. My content, for anybody who's never watched it, is not for everybody, but it's a mix. Sometimes I'm calm, sometimes I'm cool, sometimes I'm collected, but I'm always funny. That's one thing. I'm always going to be entertaining. It's always going to be educational substance. You're going to be able to find gems and jewels, and it's perfect resources for when you're trying to also educate others who may not be in the political sphere, people who just don't care about politics. I bring analogies to break it down to everybody's everyday life So that way it's just more easily relatable.
And you do a good job of that too, because I love, like I said, you bring the receipts. And it's interesting that you start with Reese because I think she now is, she has her series thing and she's known. I see her sometimes in Win with Black Women. I try to join their Sunday meetings. Reese with the receipts, because I didn't know her then, like on the socials or whatever. I would hear about her, but I can see how she would be inspiring. And I love, like I said, that you bring the receipts is so important because we're in an information war at this time. And a lot of people, I'm shocked and surprised sometimes at what people don't know and how easily they are fooled. And I love that no matter how much humor you have in something, when you're talking politics and civics, you have cold, hard receipts.
I think it's important to bring and cite those sources. I think a lot of the times and oftentimes what I've noticed is people believe the first thing that they see. When they say first impressions are everything, that's pretty much what happens. And it's really hard to change the minds of others when other people have sown these seeds of distrust or misinformation. Because unfortunately, like I said, people believe the first thing that they see. And often when they're sharing this information, they're not citing their sources. It's just hearsay. And everybody loves a little gossip child. So the reason why I bring receipts is because when I'm replying, it's a period, no reply. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to do one video, one and done. I don't want to do multiple series of back and forth. I'm just trying to hit you with all the facts and then also throw in some new stuff, you know?
I hear you.
And that way it's done. Like I said, period, no reply.
And that's what I like to do too. Like, I mean, I do like having conversations with people, but sometimes when I'm just putting information out there, I don't want to contest it. I don't want to go back and forth and all of these things, just like, here it is, read it, watch it, check these things out. So, what kind of things are you planning for the future? I know, like I said, one of the things that I love is, you have a little accessory that you use a lot in your content, the fan.
So you talk about my beautiful fan.
Yes.
Well, my main goal going forward is I've invested a little bit. Okay, I'm still in the process and just focused on getting a camera and doing some more, onboarding so I can know how to do kind of what you're doing. I want to set up a podcast, to be honest. And interesting enough, I'm going to try to take a playbook from an op. So I feel like what was very successful in the 2024 election is that a lot of Republicans, they invested a lot into content creators, a lot of thinkers, Candace Owens, Joe Rogan, all these people just flooding the social media airways with unfortunate misinformation. But how they were able to penetrate and get to people is through pop culture and by podcasts. Most of the time they didn't always focus on just the political sphere. They talked about things that were relevant, things that people cared about, and even though they may not be substantive, but things that people cared about, whether it be their favorite artists, what's the new scandal, what do people think about, Diddy, what do people think about what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus and blend pop culture and politics and talk about things like everyday lives. I remember when I was on Twitter a lot, especially in 2022, I used to host Twitter Spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And when I tell you it was a marathon, first we would spend the first 2 hours talking about politics, getting all our grievances out, right? And what we need to do and how can we reach people.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden we would shift into Twitter After Dark.
Yeah.
And then we're just talking about anything within the sun. I'm talking about anything, the most juiciest topics. You know what I'm saying? And the funny thing about it, we got more views talking about those things and then still being able to, slide in our own political agenda every now and again just to try to penetrate. And I think that's exactly what, Candace Owens has been able to be successful with doing. It's interesting. A lot of people say, well, I don't agree with Candace Owens on a lot of things, but this one little thing, she, broken clock is right 2 times a day. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I'm trying to do the same exact thing to where I'm able to reach people on a pop culture thing, slide in politics, blend the two,
Mm.
and show how both of them are relevant.
I know you can do it, and I will be one of your biggest cheerleaders. You have to promise me when we have an opportunity to meet in person, you're going to teach me boots on the ground.
You still haven't learned it yet?
I have
So
not.
so what's the hesitation? Is it the cross? Is it the leg cross? Which one is it? Is it
Probably.
the turn?
I'm not as agile as I used to be.
Look, easiest way of learning.
I'm going to practice it so that when we meet, hopefully it'll still be relevant because I just love it.
It will always be relevant. Look, the Cupid Shuffle is still relevant.
Yes. Now I got that.
K-Wang is still relevant. There's so many line bands. The Wobble is still relevant. So, it's one of those things. Like, this is culture now. This is the newest one.
Okay. Well, you have inspired me to work a little harder on learning it. And who knows? I'm trying some new things with my content creation too. So I don't know. Maybe I'll do, because I'm not on TikTok and I know but I do like to see a lot of the videos. So I don't know. Maybe Miss D will do a dance ditty and air that video.
Yes, I think it would be great. The funny thing is, I think the happiest we are is when we come together, we laugh, we dance, we eat. Those are the main things that keep us together. And I think a lot of people need to find that sense of joy and community right now, because we definitely need it, because we are in for a long ride, okay?
We were talking about like it's only been 6 or 7 months, but Jesus, it feels like years. We're all aging emotionally. It's going to be a rough ride.
It is.
We have to maintain our joy. And so that's why it's important that people like you can keep us and help keep us informed, but help make us laugh, because we must maintain some joy in this. It's critical, because I'm always giving people the facts and information. And my thing is connecting dots, history. I like to talk a lot about history and things like that, because sometimes I feel like people's memories are short. Like they are still trying to forget that those people climbed over the walls and entered the Capitol. And it wasn't just a tourist day, And so when you go back further than that, it's even harder for some people. Like they are so prolific in their messaging and their narrative shaping that they cause people to forget these things or to think differently about them. And that's why we need more of you. We need a lot more of you to be out there, because basically they got a fire hose of lies and we're just going to have to construct our fire hoses of truth. And with that being said, as we wrap up, because I know you have some other things to do today, I don't want to keep you all day, but I just want to give you an opportunity to share some thoughts, words, encouragement, or caution, whatever it is, with the audience before we wrap up.
All right, so first things first, drink you a lot of water, okay? Get you some sunscreen. Try to find something outside of your everyday life to just kind of hold on to. I know right now a lot of people are feeling hopeless, but we have to like I said earlier, we have to maintain our joy, particularly our Black joy. One thing I love about us as a people is the fact that we will find a silver lining, and even in the darkest of times. Right now, what we're witnessing is a high velocity plan that has been set in place for over 50 years. And what they're doing is nothing new under the sun to us. This isn't new to us. So the best thing we can do is try to maintain our mental state. It's okay to take a break from social media every now and again. And when you are on social media, due to so much misinformation, also with the advancements of AI, there's so many things that are out there that are just straight lies. So don't believe the first thing that you see. Make sure that you verify your sources. Google, like I've said so much, is free. It's free for everybody. And if you ever have a question, you have a smartphone, a whole computer, something that you can look something up easily, right? Accessible in your hands. So use it, please. Never go off of anybody's word when it comes to anything. Always verify your sources, which is why in every video I make sure I cite them, okay? So do what you can. Right now we're in for a long run, but let me tell you, joy will come in the morning. So please remember that we're in this together. You're not alone, okay? Find community where you can, whether it be family, whether it be friends, whether it be at your job, where it be anywhere you are. Just make sure that you're taking care of you and prioritizing yourself first.
Well, I think those are some wonderful words for us to wrap this conversation with, and wise. It's just good advice because we're in it for the long haul and we shall overcome. Yeah, it ain't going to be easy, but we will. So I want to thank you, Kenny, for that. You were talking about the spaces. I miss those. I still do kind of that thing on Monday. So if you're ever off, I do it over on Spoutable, Boozy's app. I think it's important. And as you said, like people want to be able to talk to people and relate to them where they are and not feel like, you're talking over their head or talking down to them. Democrats are starting to understand that. And the ones that are, though, like I feel like the larger party, they are still uncomfortable with it. I think that's the problem they have with Jasmine Crockett, because we know that lady is smart.
It definitely is a problem that they have with Jasmine Crockett. There's a lot of other things too, like this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand how they can dismiss what she's able to do. You know what I'm saying? The way that she's speaking for the people. A lot of people we care about in our party, at least the party elites, they care about how it's presented. They care about the optics. They care about, if it's prim, if it's polished. But sometimes being prim and polished, you can be perfect and still unrelatable. That was something that Hillary Clinton had an issue with in 2016. Is honestly, she was perfect. Me personally, she always gave a full, open-ended answer, and she always had a solution to every problem. And it was just so tailored to where some people just didn't. They couldn't see any imperfections in it, so they were nitpicking it.
Or not
They
believing
said
it.
she's robotic.
Yes, and not believing it. And I feel like that's the Democrats still leaning into traditional legacy media kind of things. And it's a new day. So they have got to come at it kind of a new way. And younger people are starting to get engaged in politics and things now. And they want this authenticity. They want people that talk like Jasmine, who keeps it real like you. And I think that the Democrats are going to have to lean into that more than they are. I feel like they're slowly starting to get it, but it's hard to teach old dogs new tricks.
I appreciate you guys. You know what's also crazy? I was at this creator conference called Trending Up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I was hoping one day that I'd be able to interview Hakeem. And, because I feel like I can pull it out of him. I
I
feel
know
like
you
sometimes
could.
he walks a little bit like he's got to stick up his ass, and it's
We
just
were
so
talking
stiff.
about
And
that
I'm just
because
like,
be yourself, Hakeem. Be yourself.
exactly. I want Hakeem to be himself. And it's just like, I don't know what's happening. I'm like, come on, Hakeem. I see you. You're trying, but you're trying too hard. Just let loose. I don't think that. I think that because Hakeem is from a different, he's just from a different era of politics, and he's been in the game for a good little minute. And remember, he was like under the tutelage of Nancy.
That's part of the problem. I was talking to LMZ, a mutual of ours, and Soul Sister, and I feel like he's still letting Pelosi kind of shape how he presents his, because it's not like he feels a little uncomfortable. He's doing and saying the right things, but I feel like when he leans into his natural self and abilities more, he resonates better.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. If people just are themselves, who's like themselves and who doesn't necessarily have to be, they don't have to be a Jasmine Crockett. Calmager Dove, she's awesome. ALC is a good example as well. She's herself. I love Chantel. She's always coming up with something cool. I like Lauren Underwood. She's very actually, it's interesting enough. I don't think that a lot of people even pay attention to when she does go live on Instagram, but she's actually very personable too.
Yeah,
She's
and I
very cool.
notice I'm seeing more of her video content. I'm not on any of the Meta platforms or TikTok. I pretty much try to stay away from those things. That's just a personal conviction.
Look, I understand. I truly understand. They got all my info, okay? So I got to be good on those platforms.
I was like, I cannot mess with you, Mark Zuckerberg. I hate you. After 2016,
Look,
I'm on all of them.
but who do
I'm
you hate
just not.
more,
Hmm,
Zuckerberg, or do you hate Elon more? Because Elon, I feel, is more of a
Jesus.
threat.
I don't know, Kenny, because I detest them both. But see, I'm already in with Elon. You know what I'm saying? Because I was
Well,
rolling on his.
Elon, he stole our lives from us. Okay, we were happy on Twitter when it was
Hmm.
Twitter, and he came in and ruined it because that's how I built my platform on Twitter. So I did Twitter first after doing like several videos and stuff like that, especially heavily during the 2020 election and stuff like that. Then people told me, "Oh, you need to download TikTok. People need to hear you on TikTok." I'm like, what is TikTok? I do not care about that. So I decided to download TikTok. I started, and it crazy. All of a sudden, I just started getting more numbers, more building my following over on TikTok. And then recently, which is very recent as this election, I started building my platform on Instagram after years of failure.
Not failure, Kenny.
That's what I say because I mean, the technically I've had an Instagram longer than I've had all the others, and I've been posting on both this entire time.
Hmm.
Um, but it just never hit until recently. I'm just like, what in the world's going on? You know what actually helped? I think when I did my video about D.L. Hughley and how, it takes a great amount of courage to admit that you're wrong and also try to, make up for the mistake of spreading misinformation on Kamala Harris's record, and he was doing everything he could. And I said, I have much respect for that. Like, I think a lot of people don't understand, like, doubling down when you know you're wrong is like the worst thing that you can do. It does not allow any type of growth. And when somebody can admit that they're wrong and try to make up for it, I mean, that for me, that's the only thing that matters. I think a lot of people feel like when you admit to be wrong or admit to guilt, all of a sudden you're going to get canceled or people won't mess with you anymore or you've lost all your validity. I don't think so. I think
No,
being able to be human, truly human, knowing that we all make mistakes and nobody's perfect and admitting to that, that's
right.
true growth and it speaks to your character.
And it really is human. It's who we are. None of us are perfect, and so to seek this kind of perfection in others is kind of crazy. But like you said, I feel like my respect level goes up for people like that who can admit that they're wrong and grow and change.
Just love the fact that he came out and did that and he did everything he could to try to right his wrong. So, I definitely support that. I respect that. I don't think a lot of people, even with people who tried to, who never did that, who I still don't like and will never like and will always have beef with to the day
Who?
I die.
Who?
If this person doesn't have any haters, that means I'm dead. Charlemagne,
I knew you was gonna say that. I didn't want to influence, but that exactly. Don't like that dude at all. At all.
I hate him with a passion. I don't normally
Mm,
hate people, and I'm never even people that I've cussed out in the past. But like I don't like Amanda Seals. I even though we've had our little run-ins and stuff like that, I have no issues with her at all. If I ever saw her in the street, I would have a conversation with her. But she better understand that she better come to be correct, or that switch will turn on. I won't be the nice Kenny that you see right now. I'll be too raw, too real, and hurt her feelings. But but I feel like with Charlemagne, he purposefully does this. I do not like social climbers. I don't like
mhm.
people who particularly use not just political figures, but use somebody's coattails to get to where they're at. He did it with Wendy Williams. He did it with Kamala Harris when she was a senator. He was all gung ho Kamala when she was a senator, and then when she became vice president, all of a sudden he just started lying on the administration continuously. He did it to Stacey Abrams when she was running the second time for her
Mhm.
governor's race. I'm like, what's going on here? Like this pattern. Like you use these people to get to where you want, to give yourself some sort of, political validity. Because, apparently he's a maverick in politics, according to Joyanne Reed. Um, and I'm just like, wait a minute. He doesn't know the basic things. He'll sit here and say, "Well, when are black people going to get their hate crime bill?" I'm like, "Wait a minute, you like 50 years late, sir.
Okay.
Over 50 years late. That was passed already." But if you want something specific that says the blackity black bill, there's some bills that have black people's names in it. James
Mhm.
Byrd. That's the problem. I don't understand, like, but it was mainly just trying to pit people of color against each other that kind of pissed me off. Like with the COVID hate crime bill that passed, he called it the Asian hate crime bill, spreading misinformation and equating COVID to Asian also shows your own prejudice and implicit bias already. And to me, that's just disgusting that you would pit those two together. It's like when back in the day they used to, link AIDS to homosexuals or people who are
Exactly.
Haitian descent or somebody of African descent. That's not fair.
Yeah. And that's, I think, probably why I don't like him either, is because he's doing this and he is doing it to Black people. And I hate people that prey on our own people. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
Thank you for listening to Connections and Conversations. This is one of many wonderful interviews that we bring to you to help connect you to a larger community of advocates and changemakers across the country. You'll get a glimpse into the various ways people are making an impact in their communities. My hope is that it will inspire you to get engaged in some small way as well. We can't all do everything, but at this moment in history, we can all do something. What are you doing? One of the things you can do is to continue to listen, subscribe, and share this Advocacy Arena podcast. You can also join and support the growing grassroots Advocacy Arena community in other ways. Join our weekly live chats hosted on Spoutable every Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern. Subscribe to our Substack to get great articles on important topics and exclusive access to extended interview conversations. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. We've got some exciting programming lined up. And keep listening to our regular podcast episodes wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, subscribe and give us that all-important 5-star review.